أنا أؤكد لك يا سيدي الفاضل أننا نحترم القانون الدولي، وخاصة القانون الدولي لحقوق الإنسان، وخاصة العهد الدولي للحقوق المدنية والسياسية، وخاصة المادة 19 منه التي تتعلق بحرية التعبير.
طيب.
وأعتقد أن الفترة الماضية أثبتت للجميع كيف أن هناك حفاظ على هذا الحق رغم تجاوزه تبعا للانترناشونال ستاندرد أو القانون.
الرئيس الأمريكي باراك أوباما يعني انتقد ما أسماه الاعتقالات الجماعية. يعني هل هنالك فعلا اعتقالات جماعية؟ يعني هل هنالك عقاب جماعي في البحرين؟
أؤكد لك يا سيدي أنها ليست سياسة لمملكة البحرين أن يكون هناك عقاب جماعي لأبنائها. هناك حماية لكل أبناء الشعب، هذا رقم واحد. اعتقالات جماعية لا توجد شيء اسمه اعتقالات جماعية في لا قوانيننا ولا في ممارستنا، وهذا شيء أؤكده لك. أما إذا كانت هناك معلومات غير صحيحة تم بناء مواقف عليها، فأعتقد أن من واجبنا أن نبين هذه المسألة. لم ولن توجد اعتقالات أو عقاب جماعي في مملكة البحرين.
كثيرا ما تتحدثون كحكومة عن معلومات يعني غير صحيحة وصلت للغرب أو وصلت لباراك أوباما من خلال خطابه الأخير. ما مصدر هذه المعلومات بحسب رأيكم؟ هل هم أطراف بحرينية؟ هل هي السفارات الأمريكية مثلا في المنطقة؟
فليكن مصدر المعلومات أيا ما كان مصدرها، ولكن أنا أتكلم عن المعلومة، وأنا معني بتصحيح هذه المعلومة. وما أقوله لك هو أنه إذا نظرت إلى المتهمين الذين تجري محاكمتهم الآن سيكون أبلغ رد على أنه لا يوجد شيء اسمه قبض جماعي أو عقاب جماعي.
يعني لا يوجد معتقلين سياسيين في البحرين؟
معتقل سياسي معناته أن هذا الشخص بسبب آرائه السياسية وبسبب معتقده السياسي قد تمت ملاحقته جنائيا. هذا الكلام مخالف للعهود الدولية اللي البحرين جزء منها، ومخالف لقوانين البحرين. لا يمكن أن تستهدف شخصا لمجرد التعبير عن رأيه السياسي بشكل مشروع. هذا الكلام غير صحيح. لا يوجد لدينا سجين رأي في البحرين، وهذا الكلام أكدناه أيضا. ما تجري محاكماتهم هم الأشخاص موجه لهم تهم جنائية تسببت وكانت جزءا من هذه الأزمة التي دخلت فيها مملكة البحرين، وحمدا لله أنه تم استرجاع الأمن فيها.
هنالك من الأطراف من المعارضة تتحدث أن الأحكام الإعدام الأخيرة هي أحكام سياسية وليست أحكام جنائية. يعني كيف ترد كوزير عدل؟
أرد بالتالي إذا كان هناك شخص رأى ما حدث في استهداف شرطة بدهسهم بسيارات، إذا كان هذا الفعل والرجوع عليهم أكثر من مرة بالسيارة، إذا كان هذا الفعل يشكل جريمة سياسية فليقل لي من أي جانب يمكن أن يعتبر هذا فعلا سياسيا. القتل، إزهاق الأرواح، الاعتداء على الآمنين ليس عملا سياسيا بأي حال من الأحوال وبأي وصف من الأوصاف. فأعتقد أن أبلغ رد هو ما تم نشره في هذا الأمر وما أكدته أحكام المحكمة، ثم أن الأمر برمته الآن ما زال معروضا أمام القضاء وهو له القول الفصل فيه.
ماذا يمكن أن نطلق على المحاكم التي تقوم بهذه العمليات؟ هل هي محاكم سلامة وطنية كما يعني في الإعلام الرسمي البحريني، محاكم عسكرية، محاكم عرفية؟ ماذا يمكن أن نطلق عليها قانونا؟
لو تتذكر في مرحلة قبل إعلان حالة السلامة الوطنية حوصرت حتى وزارة العدل، حوصرت. لم يستطع بعض الموظفين الخروج منها أو اللجوء إليها في بعض الأيام. كان التهديد موجود في سلامة أجهزة الدولة وخاصة في المحاكم. نحن نتعامل مع عدد كبير من القضايا كل يوم، ليس فقط جنائيا ولكن في قضايا شرعية، في قضايا مدنية، في قضايا عمالية، في كثير من القضايا تأتي إلى مبنى الوزارة. في الحالة الأمنية التي وجدت فيها البلد لم يكن من الممكن أن تقام هناك محاكمات عادية في وزارة العدل بالإجراءات التي كنا بصددها وخاصة في حالة السلامة الوطنية واختفاء الأمن. لذلك أتى مرسوم إعلان السلامة الوطنية لينص على وجود هذه المحاكم، محاكم السلامة الوطنية، وهي أؤكد لك أنها محاكم خاصة وأنها غير عسكرية. هذه محاكم أنشئت بمقتضى المرسوم، ثم أن الإجراءات التي تطبق أمامها هي ذات الإجراءات التي تطبق أمام المحاكم العادية. في قانون الإجراءات الجنائية هي نفس هذه الإجراءات هي التي تطبق هناك، فهي ليست استثنائية من هذا المنحى، ولكنها خاصة لمواجهة هذا الظرف الذي لم يكن من الممكن فيه إقامة عدالة حقيقية ناجزة دونما تأثير على المحاكم الأخرى، ولهذا أخذت هذا الشكل.
Hundreds of people remain behind bars solely for speaking out and demanding a change.
This is, especially the last statement, this is completely untrue.
if you look to the incidences that happened to Bahrain, things that are related to freedom of speech, already the Attorney General requested from the courts to drop charges that are related to a specific Article 168, which is related to freedom of speech and dissemination of false information. His Majesty also declared that any sayings or dissemination of words against His Majesty or against the regime has already been dismissed from the court. So the main issue, the referral to the word hundreds is really not true. It doesn't meet even the reality here in Bahrain. I know exactly what is being done on the ground. There are serious investigations on the incidences that happened during February and March, and we are going forward with this.
Seems to me you're using an interesting sleight of hand there. You know as well as I do that there are many, many prisoners in Bahraini jails right now who were put there in March, April of last year, and they were charged in military courts with offences which included efforts to undermine the government, to topple the government. They were charged with terrorism as well, in courts which your own independent commission of inquiry has since dismissed as being entirely inadequate. That's the truth.
What you are referring to is the national safety courts that were established during the National Safety Declaration. These courts do not exist anymore. Now what you are having is that the normal courts are overseeing these cases. There are cases that are being subject to review, and there are cases that already has been dismissed, and there is no need to link this to that.
Well, forgive me, Minister, there is a real reason to link this to that, because so many of these cases are at the forefront of the international community's mind and the Bahraini people's mind right now. Let me point you towards the case of Abdul Hadi al-Khawaja. He is on hunger strike right now. His daughter has been imprisoned as well because she had the temerity to protest about the treatment of her father. Are you telling me right now that you are proud of your government's treatment of Abdul Hadi al-Khawaja?
Let me put it first in general term. What we are having now in the course are cases that is not related technically to any kind of cases that are related to the practice of the right of the freedom of expression as stated in Article 19 of the International Covenant of Civil and Political Rights. What we are talking about...
But Minister, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you made that point already. It's a circular argument, because the fact is that people like Mr. al-Khawaja were imprisoned by military courts, having been on protest, and they were then charged with efforts to topple the government because they were exercising their right of free speech.
This is completely not true. Now his case is being seen by the highest court in the country, which is a civil court, and the accusation that is directed to him, among others, are related not to the issue of freedom of speech. It is related to the issue of the use of illegal means and violence in terms of overthrowing the country. It is not even a call for overthrowing the regime. However, it is not for me to comment on this stage on a specific issue.
Well, hang on. It is for you surely to answer this one question. As I understand it, having looked at the record, the key evidence against Mr. al-Khawaja for the much bigger charges you're talking about was his own confession. But the Independent Commission of Inquiry in your own country said that at the time he was arrested and then charged and then tried, quote, forces of your government used unnecessary and excessive force. Many detainees were subject to torture, including beatings, electrocution, threat of rape, and religious insult. So how can any confession made at that time be a credible piece of evidence with which to imprison this man for life?
If you have any confession for any accused that there is any kind of questioning about the legality of this confession and how it was concluded or taken, this is being disregarded by any court here in the country. This is one thing. Secondly, what we are trying to do is not, we don't want to come here to the media and establish a kind of a trial. These evidences, the confession or among any other evidence, is being now seen by the highest court in the country. And the main issue, if you're referring to Abdul Hadi al-Khawaja in particular, I think that we have a big concern about his health, and we hope that he will enjoy his health as always, as any other detainee. This is our concern. So there is no need to mix this with that. For the issue of
hang on, I just want this on the record. I just want this, Minister. You're the Justice Minister. I just want this on the record, if I may. You do accept, do you, that at the time of Abdul Hadi al-Khawaja's arrest, detention and trial, you do accept from your own independent commission that the use of torture, including beatings, electrocution, threats of rape, was systematic? You do accept that, yes?
In relation to Abdul Hadi al-Khawaja?
In relation to the entire system, it was endemic. That's what the Independent Commission of Inquiry found.
Just let me put it this way. If you are dealing with the issue of torture or the issue of inhuman or degrading treatment, this is something that is intolerable by all means, from the government or from any one in the judicial authority. What we are talking about is the issue that you raised about Abdul Hadi al-Khawaja.
I'm not asking you if it's intolerable. I'm asking you if you now accept that during the time of his trial and conviction, that sort of torture was endemic in your system. Because you say you accept the report of the independent inquiry. If you accept it, you must accept that.
I'm accepting the following. Whatever listed in the report, we accepted it from the first moment that we received the report. What I'm talking to you now is how we are dealing with all the cases that are related to this. And I talked about accountability. I talked about confessions will not be taken once there is any kind of suspicion about the legality of a confession to be taken. And also I'm talking about that there is no one that is accused of merely a practice that is related to his right of freedom of expression. What I'm telling you also is that, for example, you gave me two examples. One is Abdul Hadi al-Khawaja and one about his daughter. About Abdul Hadi al-Khawaja, I'm still insisting that we are having as much as anyone is concerned about his health, and I believe that the Ministry of Interior yesterday asserted that his health is fine.
Well, we don't know. We don't know if it's.
And they checked on him,
yeah,
and they asserted this.
Well, they may have asserted it.
Just to make it easier.
We don't. Minister.
Last moment.
Minister, we don't know if his health is fine because his wife tweeted just 2 days ago, since Monday at 13:15 I have had no news about my husband. But he had at that point been moved from his military hospital bed where he's currently refusing food and indeed, we believe, refusing water. So for you to say he is absolutely fine stretches credibility.
What I'm asserting to you is that there was an official announcement by the Ministry of Interior yesterday about the health of Abdul Hadi al-Khawaja. And last time he was checked, his hemoglobin in his blood was 11.9, which is normal. And at the end of the day, we would like him, as he took a decision to go into a voluntary hunger strike, is to take a decision also to get out of it. This is one thing. Another thing that I want to point out also is that for the daughter of Abdul Hadi al-Khawaja, as human rights defender, they have to abide by the international rules of human rights. But to block a highway and to attack one of the policemen, this is something that is really outside the realm of defending human rights.